The insane man known as Alex Jones from InfoWars has officially been taken down from YouTube. Now, that is pretty crazy because it's a very bold move on the part of YouTube because he had over 2 million subscribers and thousands upon thousands of videos. Now, this is an interesting thing that happened. There are 2 points that I want to get across, 2 things. There is the side of, I'm really glad that he got taken down. I was essentially a cheerleader for him getting taken down. The other side sort of says, no, he should have been taken down. Although within that contingent, there's a contingent that says, I'm just a fan of Alex Jones, and that's pretty much the reason why. But there's another contingent of people who essentially are, people who say that it's because they're principled on free speech. Now, here is what this article from the New York Times says. They say, Apple, Google, Facebook, and Spotify severely restricted the reach of Mr. Jones in InfoWars, his right-wing site that has been a leading peddler of false information online. Mr. Jones and InfoWars have used social media for years to spread dark and bizarre theories such as that the Sandy Hook school shooting was a hoax and that Democrats run a global child sex ring. Apple made its move on Sunday and the others followed on Monday. Now, it's kind of interesting. You just had to see like the pattern, right? The fact that, I guess Apple, originally I believe it was Spotify that took down some of the episodes of Alex Jones's podcast. And then after that, basically everyone else follows suit. He still is on Twitter, which is interesting. Although I don't know how safe he can feel on Twitter because, as we see, it looks like when, one of the companies decides that they're going to take him down, it looks like everybody else follows suit. And it looks like that's what happened. So, what are the 2 points that I want to make? One of them, I think that, there's already a suit that is going on where the survivors, the parents of the victims of Sandy Hook, they are pressing charges of defamation against him because he claims that their children were actors, the parents were in on it, and it was manufactured. That is what he has said, and that has resulted in massive harassment of the families of the victims, which is a really disgusting thing. And if you just think that in your mind, it's like that's a pretty fucking disgusting thing. So that's one thing, number one. So you have him potentially breaking the law. But number two, he's also done what I would consider direct threats of violence. He said that he would beat the shit out of Adam Schiff. He said, I want to tell Adam Schiff, like, come to my face and say that shit to me and I'll beat your ass. It's also against the law to threaten to injure any governmental official or, the president or any elected official or any appointee. So he's literally breaking a law there. Now, the other thing that I'm worried about when it comes to taking his channel down is the precedent that it sets. I do think that may be an issue, the precedent that it sets, just due to the fact that we saw what happened to the weed channels on YouTube. The weed channels on YouTube all got taken down. In an extremely swift move, they just decided to just wipe out all of the weed channels. So people who have worked their ass off to, garner this audience and this fan base and, put their work into these videos, and just like with a snap of a finger, it's like, boom, and everything's gone. It's like, that's pretty significant, dude. That really is pretty significant. And I think that is something that is very worrisome. And here's what I will say. I wasn't somebody who previous to this was like, oh, let's get Alex Jones off of YouTube. So I was never a proponent of that. Now, do I, really care about him getting taken off? Not really. And I do, see some grounds for why he would be taken off. I mean, that's pretty obvious. Although, also, I will say that the terms of service is sort of set up to where they can just take out whoever they want. They'll just state whatever, weird bullshit that they have in their terms of service. But it's just, the precedent is very scary because when you take down the channel of Alex Jones, which has over 2 million subscribers, I mean, what if, you take Jimmy Dore's channel down next? I mean, remember that, again, and I don't want to conflate the two because I know that, that's something that people do. there's no conflation between Jimmy Dore and Alex Jones. There's no conflation between, any of the left-wing talk shows and Alex Jones. There's none whatsoever, obviously, because Alex Jones is defaming people, he's inciting, harassment, direct threats of violence, etc., etc. So they're not even comparable. But let's say that they take that and go after someone like Jimmy Dore, who, if you recall that CNN article, he was labeled a far left conspiracy theorist. So it's just, the precedent is a very scary thing, and I do say that I definitely do think that I'm worried about that, and I think that that could turn out to actually be problematic. But let me know your guys' thoughts down below. This is a very interesting issue.